WhiskyJason here, whiskey from the viewpoint of an American in Germany tasting rare and exotic whiskeys, and this time the word rare actually stays on the thing. It says extremely rare 18-year-old. So, Glenmorangie Highland Single Malt Scotch Whisky, distilled and matured, interesting, in Ross-shire, and produced in Scotland since 1843, perfected by the 16 men of Tyne. So, master distiller is Dr. Bill Lutman. So let's take a look and see if I can someday have him in my live stream here. So, wonderful, wonderful bottle. I really like the bottle, by the way. So what does it say here? It says here, in the far north of Scotland, on the shores of the Dornoch Firth, lies the Glenmorangie distillery, established in 1843. This exquisite expression has lain undisturbed in superior oak casks and Oloroso sherry casks, revealing sumptuous flavors of vanilla, almonds, and dried fruit, an expression of great depth and richness. Very, very good. So over here, I paid 75 euros for this bottle. 85 is usually the going rate, to be honest. Now, what happened was, so what I do in my German channel, I talk about it all the time. That's my main channel, by the way. So I am in Germany. I do most of my stuff in German, and then I do a copy of some things in English. So, sorry, that's the way things are in my life. So what I did is I did a live blind tasting. Well, that's nothing new. I did a live double blind tasting of 18-year-old single malts. Not Scotch, single malts. So what I did is I sent out 46 packages of 6 drams each. There were 3 sail in each dram, and they were just labeled A, B, C, D, E, and F. And so they didn't know what it was, and we had to rank them at the end. I showed them what they were. So Taliska 18 won on that evening, and second place was basically this one here, the Glenmorangie 18. On third place was a Tullamore 18-year-old, which I really thought was fantastic. So I tricked the people. Many of people tried it first. Oh, this is fantastic. They loved it. And I was like, hey, it's Irish. And I was like, oh, it's Irish? I said, yeah, it's Irish. It's really good. But it's Irish. I said, but you just said it's very good. Yes, but it's Irish. So I hope some of them do buy it. On the fourth position was then the cask Orkney 18-year-old. That was very interesting. It was a little bit on that evening sulfur. And then what was not very funny, or at least not for us, which we did not enjoy, was something that will disappoint many, many people. The fifth position was this bottle here, Deanston 18, the new one. And the very, very last was Altmore 18. So I'm going to compare the two again and just take a look at that. So this is 100% first fill bourbon cask, 18 years old, 46.3%. It's an integrity malt. If you want to talk with Ralphie words, there's no coloring added, non-chill filtered, everything that the heart desires. Here we have color added. Here we probably have filtering. Here it's only 43%, and yeah. But on the nose, I must admit, the Glenmorangie compared to the Deanston, ooh, this wins. I mean, hands down. It's much, much complex. It's much, much structured. It's got it's got the dry fruit. It's got a little bit of an almond nuttiness there. It's got some wood spice going on there. Is it totally, totally complex? No. The first time I tried this after I had the blind tasting, it's like, oh, this was a B whiskey. It's more of a C++ B minus whiskey. I was expecting something much better. But on the nose, it's a B. I just could smell and enjoy the aromas for the next 20 minutes here. This is one of the whiskeys I would just sniff, put down, enjoy, put down. I don't even need to drink it. It just tickles the nose hairs in an appropriate manner and just makes me happy. The Deanston, on the other hand, doesn't make me that happy in my nose. I get a light mocha moment. I get a little bit of a mineral moment. I get a little bit of a bourbon moment from the vanilla. It's an okay whiskey, but it's definitely not pushing all the right buttons for me. And what I don't get is I don't get the age here. If you just smell this, I would not say it's 18, 12, 14 maybe. So what was very, very interesting, I also did the week before, I had a Cadden Heads. I had two that were 20 plus years old. One was 23, one was 24, and the rest of them were between 10 and 14 years old. And what lost? The older ones. Why? They were bitter. And that's something that I do not like in my whiskey, me personally. Other people do like it. I do not like bitterness in my whiskey. And if you have an old wood and you leave it in there a little bit longer and it's older wood, been used maybe second or third or fourth time, there's a lot of bitterness that can happen. And I just do not enjoy that. Of course, you can get rid of that bitterness by giving it a finish, but then why would you let it stay in the cask for 20 plus years anyways if you're just going to finish it? I don't understand the whiskey world at this moment. All right, so this was actually made 15 years. All the whiskey was in bourbon cask, either first or second. They only use first or second casks. And then 30% of the whiskey was taken out of the bourbon cask and put into Oloroso sherry cask and matured for a further 3 years. And then after that time, it continued on in the other cask for the next 3 years. So we had all 18 at least year-old whiskey, and then it was vatted, it was married back together. And you get this. Would I have preferred 46%? Yes. Would I have preferred non-colored? Yes. Would I have preferred non-chilled filtered somewhere in the label? Yes. But this whiskey is made by Monet Henness, and they have Ardbeg as well, and the Glenmorangie is basically a travel retail product, and they want to have people being able to put ice in it and so on, and not having a much powerful expression. Deanston from the Distill Group is basically made for us freaks. They're doing great things with their whiskeys from Deanston, and they're more of an authentic or an integrity malt, as Ralphie likes to mention. If you look at the color here we have the E150, here we have natural color. You do notice a big difference. So on the nose, I've talked about both of them. Let's try the palate. One of the friends actually that were in the blind tasting, he said, is this a blend? I said, no. Is it a blended malt? Maybe. I said, no, it's a single malt. He said, are you sure? It's almost like it's constructed. You've taken something from there, something from there, something from there, and you put it together and you have this almost elegant perfection of a whiskey. I said, well, yes, it was constructed. The master distiller, the master blender took different parts and put this together and made this whiskey. So Glenmorangie, of course, is famous for the giraffe stills, one of the longest neck stills, or along with the longest necks of all the stills. If you look at the 10-year-old, it actually in the back says the things that make Glenmorangie distinct. It's the tallest stills in Scotland. The casks are only used twice. It's the 16 men of Tyne and the whiskey of renown. So very, very interesting. I tried it to the 10, compared it. The 10 is not as good as 18, luckily. But you could notice, at least I could notice, a certain familiarity there. They tasted, they were close, not perfect, but close. All right, I enjoy this. There's not much sweetness, but it's not in any case bitter or anything else. It's almost like it's a whiskey without any corners, any jagged edges. It's very, very rounded. It's very, very holistic type of whiskey. This is something I could give to almost anyone. They go, oh, that's nice. And the finish is still going on, so it's still there. This is a very, very good whiskey for the price point, for the age. I'm not someone who says older is better. I'm someone who says taste is the best. And this, actually, I like the taste. I'm going to give it a B-. In my German video, I gave it a C++, B-, but the more I drink it, the more I must admit that it has certain appeal to it. Value for money, I paid 75 euros. I would actually give it a C for that. I've seen it online a lot for 85 to 90 euros. I would give it a C- for that price. There are not that many 18-year-old whiskeys out there, single malt Scotch, that I can go, hey, they're under 100 euros and I can recommend them. Question of the day, what under 18-year-old Single malt Scotch whiskey under 100 euros and over, and 18 years or older, can you recommend? I'm sure someone is going to mention Glenfarclas. Yay. And this is also something where I can highly recommend. Taliska 18, can't get it for that price anymore. Many other things are much more expensive. Talamudu 18 is under 85 euros over here, and I can get that for a good price and is delicious. Very fruity. For some people, almost too fruity. All right, Deanston, 85 euros. On the nose, there's that vanilla from the first fill bourbon, a maltiness, but also a lot of mineral moments. Cheers. Ooh. Lactose acid. Ooh, a little bitterness towards the end. Yeah. Ooh, that was first fill bourbon. I believe you, but I don't believe you. There's a lot of bitterness towards the end, and that's what really turned us off. This was not the whiskey of our choice on that evening. It says it should have aromatic, floral, grassy, and malty balanced with notes of American oak, honey, tobacco, and nutmeg. On the palate, there should be a sweetness of gingerbread, vanilla, and barley sugar with spicy white pepper. They describe it as pepper. I describe it as bitterness, and manuka, honey, and citrus. We have dry spice and honeyed ginger warmth at the end. All right. There's just something about this whiskey which I'm not crazy about. So sorry. Other people might be right up their wheelhouse, right up their alley, but not personally me. This is something I'm gonna go buy another bottle and share it and try it and use it and just get to know it a little bit better. What was really weird is I think this was a 750 milliliter bottle. Why do I say that? Well, first of all, I poured out 700 milliliters, and there was still about 5 milliliters left. And second of all, if I take a look at the normal 700 milliliter bottle and this one, this is actually a tiny little bit wider. Yeah, it's a little bit shorter, it's a little bit dumpier, but actually I have the feeling that this bottle has a little bit more volume to it. Now it does say here on, let's see, where does it say it? It says here it's 700 CL, and on the bottle it should have in the label as well the 700 CL. But yet, if they add a little bit more, who knows? That's the reason why I'm kind of doing the video, is because I had something left over after filling up all these other bottles. But hey, and I filled up 4, 5, 6 other bottles. This was the only one where I had a lot left. And Deanston, I had really just 1, 2 CLs, and there I had 5. So that was a very interesting situation for me. Good. Question of the day is, what is your favorite 18-year-old single malt? Can you recommend? Could also be Irish or Japanese or whatever, under 100 euros, that you can recommend to others. That is very, very good. Here in this case, mine Glenmorangie, I gave it a B- and a C to C- for the value for money. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for subscribing. Thank you very much for sharing this video with others. I'm sorry Deanston did not do a great job versus the Glenmorangie. Almost every day you'll see a video here about me tasting rare and exotic whiskeys. Actually, the word rare is here on the box, and that's the way it is. Thank you. Subscribe, like, tell others. All the best. Bye-bye.